kickstart conversations on the second leg of interviews on the program this morning. We'll be joined virtually by Comrade Akinlade Semiu, who is the Osun State AAC Publicity Secretary. A very good morning to you, Comrade. It's wonderful to have you join us today on Morning Express.
Comrade Akinlade, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
You're not muted on your own end, Comrade Akinlade.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, it appears.
Welcome. We can hear you now.
Okay.
Whilst the speakers on here pick up your speech, would also like to get your opinion following the conduct of the Osun local government polls. We've seen a lot of the issues, particularly even with the bloodshed that followed, but more so now with Governor Adeleke moving on to swear in local government chairmen and councillors. What's the position of your party in this regard?
Well, it is quite simple. There is no election at all. That's our position. Because you can't say because of a kind of jamboree election.
Comrade Akinlade, hold on. If you could just position your camera and just stay in one bit so we can get you exactly.
Okay.
Let's also follow the conversation and carry our viewers along as we listen to you. You can pick up from where you left off.
Okay. Our position as a political party, not just ordinary political party, an ideological based political party, is that there is no election at all. Because most of the polling units where this election ought to have happened, there were no electoral officers, no electoral materials for voting. People were just waiting. They waited in vain. So in the light of that, we cannot say there was election on Saturday.
So now your party feels aggrieved with the conduct of the elections, feeling that following that conduct, we can't say that the people were given their will to vote who they wanted?
Yes, that's our position.
So in this turn, the governor has also asked the newly elected local government chairman to stay away from the secretariat. Why is this so?
Yeah, that is because I think the governor is much more like he's afraid of himself. He's trying to save his face from what I will call a brutal murderer of democracy.
Now we've seen the position of Makinde as well, who is saying that Osun should not be turned into the wild west. Is this painting a picture of the deplorable state of peace and stability in Osun State?
Well, prior to this movement, we have been enjoying a peaceful atmosphere as far as Osun State is concerned. So until recently, so we cannot even boast of this peaceful atmosphere as far as Osun State is concerned currently. So, and this is having to do with the two leading political parties, so to say, the APC and the PDP, fighting, killing here and there. But as peace-loving people, as a political party who always uphold the rule of law, we can say, and we have been saying even before now, that as far as that election is concerned, there is no election, and we can't call that election. That is what I want to establish.
Now, comrade, when you say you won't call that an election and that there was no election, in what way? We saw people going to the polls. We saw them casting their ballots and exercising their civil franchise. The results of the elections were announced by OSEC. Certificates of return were handed over to the winners of the elections, the chairman, and of course the councillors. It panned out normally. So when you say there was no election, what do you mean exactly?
Well, the in the election,
Yes.
16 political parties participated in the election.
Okay.
Prior to that, I think about 3 of the political parties pulled out. So the rest that went into the election, let me just say this. Well, the rest that went into the election were not given a free mandate. Our supporters, particularly we, were not given the mandate to participate in the election. This is because there were no election materials at the polling unit. People were just there waiting and waiting. They waited in vain throughout the day. But I don't know where the OSEC saw what they read to the people.
If I get you correctly, Comrade Akinlade, was this in your polling unit or across how many wards where you say election materials failed to arrive? So we can be specific.
Let me just say this directly. In our own perspective, because I don't like speaking for other people, I would like to be specific. In our own area, we have 4 candidates going into the election. Are you with me?
I'm with you. Carry on.
Yes, we have at Olorunda Local Government Ward 2, Odo-Otin, Ward 6.
Your phone is out of focus again. Just kindly hold your camera so we can see you while you talk.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, Odo-Otin, Ward 6, Boripe, Ward 10, and Egbedore, Ward 4 and 10. So in those areas, our party supporters were just there waiting. There were no electoral materials as far as that place is concerned. So, and like other places, that was how the whole thing was done. And prior to this election, we had the information that the OSEC, in collaboration with the state government, have already concluded plan to move voting materials, I mean sensitive voting materials, down to the governor's country home, that is in Ede. So I think that was where they perfected the whole plan, and the result you saw them and you lay claim to that they are reading out. So that was where the whole thing was perfected. But Abi, can you just imagine, even if you can look vividly, during the announcement of the result, so said by you, the OCA chairman was reading from his phone. I think the election result should be in printed materials, not from reading on phones. So he was reading from his phone, if you can look at that very well. So there is no hidden things there. The truth is that there were no elections. And that is what we are trying to establish as a political party.
Now, Comrade Akinlade, I quite understand this issues with having election results being read from mobile phones as against when you have collation officers compiling the results. But let me also take your mind back to the violence that ensued in Irewole local government area, where allegedly Mr. Remi Abbas was reportedly killed by hoodlums. I don't know if your party had any candidate in that local government, and do you have any insights onto how that issue came to be?
No, we don't have any candidate from there. But it is unfortunate that that incident happened. So I think it is uncalled for, and it is so saddening that we lost Honorable Remi Abbas. So I don't have much to say as far as that is concerned.
Well, comrade, going forward now, what do you think the future holds for local government councils in your state? Should we be expecting the ruling of the appeal court to stand, or should we be expecting the newly elected local government council chairman as well as councillors to take charge of their offices as designated via the certificate of return issued to them?
Well, as far as we are concerned, we believe in the rule of law.
Yeah.
And that is what we should all uphold to. So we cannot say because the governor wants to have his way, that will disregard the judgment of a court of competent jurisdiction.
Well, I understand what the point you're trying to make, but I'm talking about practicality now. It's one thing to be quite sentimental and flare up and say that the governor wants to override the appellate court's judgments and whatnot, but practically, what should we be expecting with regards to this situation in Osun State? How do you think it will be resolved from your perspective?
Well, I think I've answered that. We, as an ideological based political party, we will continue to uphold the rule of law. And that is our stand. And as far as the practical aspects, I cannot single-handedly decide that, since we have what the law says. And the law does not exist in vacuum. So in the light of that, we believe in the law. So anything other than what the law says, I can't comment beyond that.
Okay.
And
carry on, please.
Going further, I want to say this. I want to challenge, or let me say, I want to dare the OSEC chairman. If at all he says election took place, that is if at all, I think there is provision whereby all party agents need to sign election result before going to the collation center. So I challenge him now to let us see those aspects where these party agents have done that.
Now, Comrade Akinlade, if I understand you correctly, what you mean is that all through the period whilst you were waiting at those 4 areas where you had candidates, till the end and conclusion of those elections, there were no election materials, and your party agents did not sign off on the results in those areas.
Not only our, yes.
You said not only your areas.
The problem now is that, so far so good, we don't even know the position of IPAC on this, because IPAC has already, I think they have not seen the importance of speaking as far as that election is concerned. But from our own end, we cannot continue to silence in the face of injustice. And that is what we stand for as a political party.
Now there's the room for you to legally challenge this with the law as it provides for in the Electoral Act. Have your council, I'm talking about council to the party now, have you instituted any post-judicial process?
Yeah, but you know, it is a gradual process. We first of all need to come out bold that we don't express our displeasure to what they called election. So I think after that, we are going to take every lawfully means to challenge this.
Now, let's talk about the atmosphere in Ogbomoso where you are. In terms of peace and security, are there any security presence? Is business on as usual? Or are people still skeptical, especially those operating around the local government secretariats?
No, there is no such as far as here is concerned.
People are back to their businesses as usual.
Yes. For now. So I don't know what might happen later in the day, but for now.
All right, comrade, final thoughts on the situation in your state with regards to the local government chairmanship situation. Let's talk about the AAC now. From your own observation, what does the future portend for you? I mean, when we hear of Osun State and the crisis going on there, the first thing that comes to mind is the APC versus PDP, whereas there are political parties like yourself that have also been in the struggle to stabilize the political landscape there. What does the future hold for you and your political party?
Well, we, as far as we are concerned, as the only true masses-oriented political party, we believe the future is bright for the party and as well as for all our candidates and supporters across the state.
Okay. Well, Comrade Akinlade Semiu, I must thank you so much. This has been a very interesting conversation with you, and we wish you the best of luck going forward in your future endeavor.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, that has been Comrade Akinlade Semiu, Osun State's AAC Publicity Secretary, joining us from the Osun State capital, Osogbo. Now he seemed quite a little bit laid back, considering the fact that his party had also, contested in the elections, and it's with the calls that the AAC is making online over the local government polls. I'm surprised that their publicity secretary is not as aggressively seeking for that calls that the AAC is also doing.
Well, I think his body language is quite different from his opinion of the election, because he stated on Saturday that he felt that the polling units where they had candidates were largely de-enfranchised, citing the fact that election materials did not arrive. He's also made strong allegations saying that he doubts the elections collated were signed off by party agents.
True.
And he's also daring that the party of the governor, the PDP, respond in that regard. And now, quite interestingly, there are two strong voices making quite vehement calls this morning as well. The Oyo State governor, Governor Seyi Makinde, is also called out to his counterpart in Osun State, asking him not to turn Osun to the Wild Wild West. Looking at replies also coming in asking that Governor Seyi Makinde keep business and mind the business he has in Oyo State
and leave Osun State alone.
Osun State alone. But it's also taking an interesting shift now, as we're told that the Osun State's 10th Osun State caucus in the 10th National Assembly is called on the President, the National Security Advisor, and the Attorney General to wade in and address these issues. So I think this issue, beyond the party position, much like Comrade Akinlade was holding, is also going to see more reactions in the coming weeks as it concerns this issue. And quite interestingly, the fact that the swearing-in ceremony was done quite hurriedly is another big issue a lot of persons are reacting to this.
Well, it was done quite hurriedly, but it was not done under any form of illegality or whatsoever. There is no rule or law stipulating the period of swearing in from the period of election, especially with regards to local government council polls. The governor is at liberty.
It's at his discretion.
At his discretion to decide on, even if the election results were announced today, he can decide to swear in the chairman or whoever it is, or the councillors, the next day. So it's certainly at the discretion of the governor. And we look to see what unfolds in Osun State. Quite an interesting political landscape, especially with the other PDP governors in the southwestern part of the country, throwing their weight and supporting Governor Adeleke of Osun State, much like you mentioned, Seyi Makinde of Oyo State.
Now, this is an interesting discourse, especially with the calls on the legality of the polls. And going into our next few minutes, we're hoping to get another insight from the academia. Chijoke.
Well, certainly at this point, let's see if we can virtually join Mr. Lijofi Victor, a lecturer, political activist, and the state coordinator of the Take It Back movement, Osun State. Now he's joining us virtually. Hello and a very good morning to you, Mr. Victor. It's wonderful to have you join us on Morning Express.
Good morning. It's great to be part of the discussion.
All right, fantastic. We were just talking about the Osun State local government polls, the crisis that had ensued before the elections took place, and now we are seeing that the governor has already sworn in the local government council chairmen that were elected, as well as councillors, in a move that has been greatly criticized by the All Progressives Congress within the state. Firstly, let me get your thoughts on the situation in your state with regards to the grassroots political landscape.
Good morning once again, Nigerians.
Thank you. Hello, Mr. Victor.
The situation in Osun with respect to the just concluded local government election is what? Yeah. Hello, can you?
Loud and clear. I can hear you loud and clear. Please carry on.
It's a quite unfortunate situation because as far as the people are concerned, there was no election on Saturday. There was no local government election in Osun State on Saturday across local government in Osun State. What we had on Saturday was a lockdown and a political party trying to appoint the member to occupy the local government seat. As far as we are concerned, elections that were claimed to be organized by OSEC without polling agents, without results being announced, and then what we saw was
it may seem as though our connection is facing slight. Okay.
So that was the situation in Osun the last Saturday. There was no election.
Now, earlier on, we had one of the party secretaries of a political party in the Osun elections who talked about what he observed at his polling unit. I don't know if you also observed across polling units, so that we don't have a blanket statement. Did you observe particular polling units in different local councils where you make this claim, or is it across board?
The issue of no election was across board, but I will cite the example. For instance, at Egbedore Ward 12, Egbedore Ward 4, there were 12 units, and our party, which is African Action Congress, had a candidate for councillorship who was supposed to vote in that ward. She was not allowed to vote because there was no election material. OSEC representatives were not at the polling unit at the appointed time, and she also moved around across the 12 polling units. There were no electioneering activity going on anywhere. Another example is from Odo in local government. We have a candidate too who is an APC candidate, Ore Agbe Ward 6, and here there were 9 polling units. Across the 9 polling units, there was no any electioneering activity. The candidate was not given an opportunity to vote. There were not even voting materials. In my own unit at Akmosa West, Ward 4, Unit 6, that was the campus gate of the University of Ilesha. That has been my polling unit. I was around all through. There was no election. There were no OSEC representative. There was no material at that point. So it now becomes very unfortunate for any OSEC leadership to come on board to say that they have announced an election that never took place. Another evidence is that, Nigerian election is not a new one. Even while the election is going on, it is the usual practice that when elections were counted at the unit level, people would be uploading the result of their election on the social media. In the case, the scenario that played out in the last Saturday, there was no results flying around on the social media. In fact, the OSEC that actually declared some winners did not even come up with the results to say that so candidate pulled so results and all of that. So, sincerely speaking, with all evidences that are in the political space, there was no election.
Do you mean that OSEC did not post the election results online, or that it did not announce the election results at all?
OSEC did not announce election results at all.
How true is this statement?
The OSEC declaration is everywhere, even in the social media. There was no any scenario whereby a candidate was awarded any numbers of votes to say that candidate A polled so numbers of votes or candidate B polled so number of votes. That was the case, and it is impossible because there was no election. There was nothing to be counted.
Now, in terms of petitions, are you on any wind of any petitions in the wake following this?
Of course, our own party, which is the Action Congress, has actually come up with a public statement to demand the cancellation of that sham that was called an election, and informing the generality of the public that there was no election in Osun State. Now, and of course, about 2 political parties pulled out before the election day, and a day before the election, the Labour Party pulled out of the election, citing insecurity and other presumed electoral malpractices that they felt that would not allow the process to be smooth.
Now, Comrade Victor, what does this do for the future of local government autonomy? Because many were looking to Osun State as a case study in terms of how well it will fare in elections. And would we see a deviation from some of these accusations and allegations that are not new to the Nigerian electioneering history? What do you think this does for the future of local government autonomy?
Of course, the local government has always been an extension of the governor of a state. The governor, when we're talking about the autonomy of local government, one of the basic reasons why local government have no autonomy is because governors at various states in this country does not allow local government to operate. And even with the local government autonomy that was actually passed into law by the National Assembly in recent time, there is no hope for local governments in Nigeria until there are electoral reforms that would allow local government to be independent as expected. Because the governors who are in charge of the state are still hell-bent on continuing to control local government. Look at the scenario that played out in Osun, whereby the governor is trying to oversee, to ensure that members of his political party, PDP, will be the one to be appointed in all of the local governments. So local government autonomy will never work in Osun until we have an electoral reform that will grant the local government the sole autonomy to conduct election and to run the local government without interference by the governors in each state.
Mr. Victor, is the AAC willing, or at this point considering going to court to contest this sham election, in your words as well as in the words of the AAC's publicity secretary that we had just spoken to before you?
Of course, the AAC, the African Action Congress as a party, is a party that is highly principled, and we are trying to evaluate, to assess the situation, to see, and I think the first thing is for us to expose the sham election to the entire world, to show that there was no election in Osun State, and that Mr. Hazim Abioye, who was the OSEC chairman, did not actually follow the electoral laws, which should be duly followed in elections. And like I said, we do not really believe in the judiciary system to do justice, because there are various cases in this country whereby you expect the judiciary to do justice. They get it. So a party is a revolutionary party that believes that the people themselves must take their destiny into their own hands. So we are still assessing the situation, and at the end we'll come up with our own final position on the sham local government election.
Now, let's talk about the OCEC under the chairmanship of Mr. Hazim as well. Going forward, what are your recommendations? Should the conduct of elections, particularly local government elections in Osun State, be left under OCEC, or would you want reforms that would empower INEC to take charge of these elections?
I think what is better is to look for a reform whereby a central electoral body, probably INEC, it will take over the conduct of election of local governments. As it is, OSEC is always under the control of governors, and whenever election of local government is coming up, whether it is APC or PDP, that has always been the practice in Nigeria. The governors would want to dominate the electionary activity of the local government, and ensuring that they use it as an opportunity to compensate their members who has actually worked for them, or to ensure that they use it to create a political opportunity for them to win the second term election, just that what we are having in Osun State. However, the reform that is needed in this country is such that we allow even INEC to be independent enough, not to be an appendage of political parties, because events of the past has also taught us that INEC in Nigeria has never been independent. Myself, as a citizen, has always been at the INEC headquarters in Abuja to be part of one protest or the other, calling INEC, demanding for their independence. It is until then that we can have free and fair election in Nigeria.
Now, these political calculations, you say most governors are in the habit of doing to secure a second term using local government chairmen and councillors. In Osun State, over recent history, would you say that this, to be fair to the local government people, that they have not been allowed to exercise their franchise?
No. The situation has never been different from what was obtainable in the past. Because, for instance, this is going to be the first election that will be conducted under the leadership of this PDP government in Osun State. And we have seen what they are capable of doing. Of course, the regime has been claiming to be better than APC in all fronts. But the event of recent time has shown that there is no difference between the leadership of APC and the leadership of PDP. Because if you have a situation whereby they claim to have conducted election and there were no evidences of people coming out to vote. There were no evidences of OSEC bringing materials, electoral materials to unit. There are no evidences of election being collated and counted. The only thing we had was people names being announced as or being occupant of political office at councillor and chairmanship level, and the certificate being given to them. That was the only thing we had, and that could never be regarded to as an election.
Now, one of the key individuals, political figures within the Southwest region that graced, the swearing-in ceremony of this newly elected chairman and councillors is Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State. And in his statements there, he had chided the APC over his claims or allegations of the APC trying to plunge Osun State into war. Going forward now, do you think that the position that the APC has decided to take, albeit violently, is healthy for the political space in Osun State? And how do we mitigate this issue to ensure that your state does not fall into a full-blown, crisis?
Yes, just like the PDP, the APC has a history of violence. They have a history of violence, and it's not different from what happened in the recent past. Both APC and PDP are guilty of igniting violence in the state. The reason is because both of them are trying to claim ownership of the local government secretariat. The local government secretariat belongs to the people and not to a particular political party. For instance, in this just concluded election, about 16 political parties participated in the election. So why was it that only APC and PDP were trying to claim ownership of a party secretariat? So you have a situation whereby both of them were trying to occupy the local government, mobilizing their members to occupy the local government secretariat, claiming, the APC was claiming that because of an appeal judgment that they are supposed to be in charge of the local government. The PDP was also claiming that the appeal does not give any direction as regards whether APC should occupy the local government. And as a result of this, they started being violent, started arming political talks, started shooting guns and using matches on their own, on their self. And as a result of that, very unfortunately, we lost about 6 people, as widely reported in the press, to death. And a number of people are also injured. Some of them are still in the hospital trying to recover, and some of them might not even have hope of recovery. To us at AAC, we feel that these two political parties has been characterized with violence, and we feel that government at the center should play a key role in ensuring that the environment or the political space is free, fair, in such a way that people can go about their business on a daily basis.
Now,
another evidence as we speak,
carry on.
Most of the schools, the primary and the secondary schools, are closed in Osun at the moment, and this is not far-fetched from the violence that is currently going on, which is attached to the recent political activity, which is violent, yet as obtainable in Osun State.
Now, there are speculations that this violence that you've spoken about might be ensuing again today, as the governor had issued a directive to the ousted local government council chairman not to resume office today. Yet the APC, is asking them to disregard the statements of the governor. Today is Monday, and so far, so good in Osogbo, the Osun State capital. What do you think might be playing out with regards to this, and then across other local government council areas in your state as well, including Ilesha, where you are right now?
As earlier stated, there were order for children not to come to school today, to have a compulsory holiday, because their school owners were actually having the impression that the violence will continue. And this morning, I heard that some members of APC were actually trying to mobilize themselves to one of the local governments in Ilesha here today, and they were assisted by men of the police force. And in the process, the men of the police force started shooting tear gas canisters, trying to disperse them to go. And you cannot have development in an environment of such, where when people are supposed to be going about their own business on Monday morning, you get it. Then you have a violent environment whereby police have to start shooting tear gas and tear gas canister. So as it is now, the environment is not still free from violence. The tension is still very high, and to the best of our ability, we are calling on security agencies. We feel that security agencies has been biased. They have not actually played their role as expected. Because before the whole issue started, the Nigerian police force were aware that this issue was going to degenerate to that end. They never intervened until we lost 6 people, you get it, to death, and several people injured. So we are calling on the Nigerian police force and all other security agencies, the DSS, to play a key role, which is supposed to be their own role of ensuring security of life and properties, such a way that the citizens will be able to go about their normal business around the state.
All right, fantastic takes you have made there, and timely calls as well. Let's hope that in the coming days or even weeks, we see peace and normalcy returning to Osun State.
Thank you.
Vito?
Yeah, in keeping with this, it's also so interesting that before the elections held, the Attorney General of the Federation had asked that the elections be postponed. But the PDP, I don't know if the AAC was also in line with keeping, we saw 2 political parties pull out, had said that the elections should go on. Do you think that the position of the AGF should at this time, in an afterthought, have been upheld?
Of course, the position of the AGM that the election should be postponed was necessary, you get it, at that point in time, because there were violence already. And despite the fact that it was necessary, it shows a high level of failure on the part of the Nigerian police force and other security agencies. If a whole Nigerian police force is having to monitor election in just 1 state at a time, considering the numbers of men that they have, and they are still suing for postponement of the election, I want to believe from my own end, you get it, based on my own understanding, that the Nigerian police force have the capacity to curtail violence in the election if they want to be fair enough. So for us, we feel that there is a political party or a platform that is trying to use the Nigerian police force against another political party, and that's the reason why they are feeling incapacitated in ensuring peace and security in Osun State.
Now, I just want to get your thoughts on what had gone viral, especially with your statements on the conduct of the Nigerian police force in Osun. We did see the nephew to the governor, renowned musician David Adeleke, berates the commissioner of police, a statement which he has reneged on. But what did you make of that viral outburst at the time when that violence was ensuing?
Well, as far as we are concerned, the commissioner of police is part of the Nigerian police force, and every police officer is a subset of the Nigerian police force. They receive orders from the hierarchical leader of the Nigerian police force. So we would never treat the commissioner of police different from the position of the Nigerian police force. We feel that the police has not done enough in securing lives and property of people. If not, how can we have election that is coming up for 1 day, and we have a situation where we have lost 6 people and several other people injured? Does it mean that the Nigerian police force does not have the required facility and material to secure the lives and property of the people? To us, the answer is no. It is because the police is trying to take side, you get it, and thereby trying to withdraw their services and not doing what they are supposed to do at a particular point in time. So we are calling on the Nigerian police force to try to be neutral as possible, to ensure that the lives and properties of people in Osun State and across the country are safe. Instead of Nigerian police force to be monitoring, to be trying to arrest dissent, trying to handpick people that are talking, you see the PPR, Olumuyiwa Adejobi, trying to arrest people that are commenting on posts that are against the Nigerian police force. Instead of them to be doing that, I think it is better for them to focus on their primary duties of ensuring the security of lives and property of the citizens.
Well, Mr. Victor, in closing, just before we let you out, we let you go. The elections have happened. You have called it a sham, an illegal election. In your words and the words of the AAC Publicity Secretary, there was no election in Osun State. However, we have seen a swearing-in happen. We have seen certificates of return handed over to this chairman and the councillors. What does the future hold? What should we be expecting? Apart from going to court to contest this, which we all know how it will end, what other ways or means can this issue be resolved in closing?
I think that the future of elections in Nigeria is in the hand of the people. The over 200 million people that we have in this country should take their destiny into their own hands. Ours at AAC has been calling on the people to come out and take their destiny into their own hands. Until the people are ready to come out and take their destiny into their own hands, the future will continue to bleak. It is going to be difficult for any police or political thug to rig election or to stop election when the people themselves are on ground. The people should swallow their fears. The only thing that kills most is fear. We must see things that are chasing us before we start running. The people themselves must be determined enough, because whatever decisions that are made in the political space, the people are going to be at the receiving end. So it is until the people are ready to take their destiny into their own hands, that is when we can have a political space that is free and fair for all.
All right, Mr. Victor Lijofi, we must thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you, and we wish you well over there in Elisha, hoping that peace and normalcy returns to Osun State.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Well, that has been Mr. Lijofi Victor, a lecturer, political activist, and the state coordinator of the Take It Back movement, Osun State, as well as a member of the AAC political party.
Well, this is as much as we can take on our current affairs-driven segment of our flagship program. We'll take a break, and when we return, our Abuja sports editor joins the program for ADBN Sports at 10. Stay with us.
In a world of overwhelming voices where everyone has